But the opener was a number one contenders battle royal. They had a 20-man battle royal with such top contenders like Brock Anderson, C.W. Anderson, and Ryan Nemeth, who eliminated Jake Something, which pissed me off. But they actually did have like everybody else was like really good in the match. But you had Moose, Eric Young, Mance Warner, you had the Rascals in there, and of course Bear Bronson and Jake Something. So Jake Something and Bear Bronson was interesting, right? Was that cool or what? At one point, they were in center ring and they just started going at it as a big beefy fight there, and that was really cool. I was like, okay, give me these guys some more. Like let these guys feud. Give Jake something to fucking do, right? He ends up getting eliminated by Ryan Nemeth because he got poked in the eye. Ryan Nemeth should not have had a single elimination. The appeal to Ryan Nemeth, and I think Ryan does a good job in TNA. I think he's an underrated talent. He's not a good pro wrestler, but as far as like a dipshit, and like a guy on the outside of the ring and a guy that like says stupid shit and like is willing to make a fool of himself, I think he's a valuable guy to the company. Like, and that's a compliment. I think what he does a good job at. Okay. He should not have eliminated anybody. That's the bit with Brian, is that he's terrible. But because his big brother has pull in TNA, he keeps getting opportunities. That's the bit. You can't have him eliminate a guy like Jake Something. That ruins the bit. It ruins Jake because now he's a geek, and he's been a geek for a while, but they keep proving it to us that that's what they think he is. And then it ruins the bit with Ryan Nemeth because he's a shithead. He shouldn't be able to eliminate a guy like Jake Something, even when cheating, right? Or if he did, it needs to be like what the hell, like this big crazy thing, right? But instead, it was like it was an afterthought. It was barely talked about in the match. I think they fucking hate Jake. I think they do. They bear the guy every chance they get, and seemingly he's going to resign. I don't know that he has, but it's possible. A lot of people thought that. But I never I don't think Brian Alvarez actually reported that. So. But I did like Jake and Bear Bronson going toe to toe. Let these guys have a series of matches. That would be cool. AJ Francis came out and eliminated Rich Swann by pulling him off the ring apron. So they're continuing their feud. I wonder if they fight at Genesis. But the finish of the match was the final two were Eric Young and Bear Bronson. And they did some battling on the ring apron. And, Bear Bronson got clotheslined over the top and onto the ring apron. And Bronson was able to fight Young off and backdropped him to the floor and secured the biggest win of his career. And then immediately after, cut a motherfucker of a promo. I wish I could just show it here, but I'll get nuked. My YouTube feed will get nuked. But that was a really damn good promo, and I think that everybody should go out of the way to watch that promo. I have some constructive criticism for Bear, and it would be maybe get some new ring gear. Like the ring gear kind of looks indie, with the tights, and he's got pants over the tights and stuff. That can work sometimes, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't work for him. Now he might make it work, but right now he just looks indie, and he's going to be, this is a pretty big stage for a guy like him who has been off of AEW for a while and has been in death matches and has done a good job with that. I would upgrade the gear. That would be first order of business when he comes back in the new year to TNA, and I hope that he does, and I think that he will. He's a good young talent, the exact fucking type of guy that they need to be bringing into this company. Guys with a little bit of TV experience that have a high upside that maybe didn't get a chance elsewhere because they were too top heavy, right? And for him, he got a bad rap because of his tag team partner, getting jammed up on domestic violence, right? And it sucks for him, right? But now he has an opportunity, and it looks like he's going to take this opportunity and run with it. That was my impression tonight. I thought he looked really good in the ring. I thought he looked great against Jake. I'd like to see him against guys like Nemeth and Macklin and some of these other guys, and just have him have these long, really good matches. I'm curious to see if they actually have a good match with Frankie or not, because Frankie is capable of having good matches, but his character is such that he doesn't. So he is like the character is almost purposely having bad matches, and doing the goo and the gaga and the Jeff Jarrett horseshit. And so it's like designed to piss people off, right? So I do wonder if that match is going to be any good. So I'm skeptical, but I think that he's good. All right, we got knockouts action. We had Lei Ying Lee and Xia Brookside. They teamed up against Tessa Blanchard and Mila Moore. Tessa, Mila, and Robbie E. Dip Fuck, and Vicky Crawford. They're called the Diamond Collective, I think is what they're called. Yeah, the Diamond Collective. And this new faction put together this week lost their first match to Lei Ying Lee. So the match was like the match was decent, right? You know, Mila Moore has some growing to do, but I think she can be pretty good. They had some interference and stuff like, you know, some horseshit. But Lee nailed Mila Moore with a face buster and secured the pinfall. Actually, it was that's not what it was. So I got bad information here. Sorry about that. So the finish was Xia. Oh, Seattle scored a touchdown. Okay, so guys in the chat, we actually need Seattle to beat LA. If Seattle beats LA, the 49ers are now the number one in the NFC West. So that's important. But okay. So actually Xia Brookside did like a flippy thing. So Lei Ying Lee was on the middle rope and Xia like came and flipped it over and she did like a senton. No, that wasn't the finish. Tessa Blanchard broke that up. Okay, now I'm getting confused. So it might have been a facebuster. Okay, facebuster. We'll go with facebuster. Afterwards, Danny Luna issued a challenge to Lei Ying Lee and a really good promo. I thought it was well done, well shot. I think Danny Luna is a fucking star. And I feel vindicated for when I went to bat for her back in September when Ash went down. I was like, they should just put the title on Danny Luna, like she's the one to go with. Now look at her. Some of you assholes tried to fight against that and say, oh, she's not ready yet. No, she's ready. She's the one. She is the person that they need to be building the division around. It's Danny and it's everybody else right now. And I like Lei Ying Lee. I think she's good. I don't know that she's got Danny's charisma to be the world champion. And it looks like they might want her just to be in the tag team, and that's okay. I think that's a good spot for her. But Danny Luna issued a challenge to Lei Ying Lee, and it looks like that's going to be the match for Genesis. So cool. And then next we get an Elijah concert. So he held the concert for the El Paso crowd, singing a custom song, and then he goes interrupted by Tasha Steelz, who then introduced Mustafa Ali. Ali demanded a moment of silence for his trauma after being dragged away on a horse by Elijah. And then Elijah responded by playing the White Stripes Seven Nation Army on his guitar, which the crowd singing, "Oh, Walk with Elijah," of course. And then Ali's great hands, Jason Hotch and John Schuyler. Can we have an honest conversation about Hotch and Schuyler? They're good. They're a good tag team. They're going nowhere with that name, the Great Hands. They got to change the name. I've been saying it forever. I've been saying it in public. And I think they should change the name to the Agents of Chaos. Now, because I said that in public, they're not going to do it. But the Agents of Chaos, okay? You get Agent Zero, you get Agent Hotch, Agent Schuyler, Hotch and Schuyler, Agents of Chaos. Here's the kicker. It's AOC. It's a political gimmick, huh? You got Mustafa Ali playing a dirty congressman. Now his tag team's called AOC. Come on. Is that not gold or what? It's fucking better than Great Hands. I think Agents of Chaos works. That's what they should call themselves. No more Great Hands. Agents of Chaos, AOC. Okay. Elijah cleared the ring of the lackeys, and then as he confronted Ali, Tasha Steelz distracted him again, but Ali capitalized by smashing a guitar over Elijah's back, leaving him laid out on the stage. So there you go. And then we get to the main event. TNA has a steel cage. It's a nice cage. It is a cage that a professional wrestling organization would have. Not that abomination that they had before. Like, this was an actual nice looking cage. And I think it was the same one that Prestige Wrestling uses. I probably not the same exact one, but the same company that makes them. And I was like, okay, you guys are actually taking yourselves seriously. You're trying to be professionals, which, you know, I am not used to with this company. Like, they usually skimp and they just try to, like, they do things on the cheap and they make things. They don't take pride in what they do sometimes. And so they're willing to let things look like shit and they just make excuses. And then, of course, the fans that they have also make excuses for them. And I don't. I think that you should always look like a professional and do things professionally. And they don't always do that. But this time they decided to go ahead and bring back the steel cage to El Paso. I think it was a make good for the city of El Paso because they had this same match that they did tonight. They had the same match back in March, but it was, lackluster because the cage was so bad. So, but Mike Santana was out first, and then he was with Bad Buddy Jensen, and then I don't have the full list of like who came in when, but the heels obviously had the upper hand, and Matt Hardy was coming down, and I believe it was Tyreek Igwe attacked him, slammed his head up against the steel ring steps, to which his brother did not save him. And so Tyson DuPont was already in the ring. They had the man advantage. Matt Hardy's coming out to even it back up. Tyreek Igwe then comes out, attacks Matt, slams him against the ring steps, and then goes into the cage. And now you got a 4-on-2 match. And nobody from the babyface side came out and was like, well, we're still going to follow the rules. It's like, what the fuck? Why are you still following the rules? They just killed Matt, and now they're beating your friends up 4-2, and you guys are just hanging out in the back waiting for your number to be called? Are you not watching? Dummies. But so that part sucked. It's like, look, have a little bit of like you know what I say? Like earlier with how bad that cage was in March, it just screamed like people who are not taking themselves seriously and they don't take the profession seriously. When you lay out a match like this and you have that to where the baby faces just refuse to come out, they could have done something where they were locked away and they couldn't get out, but they didn't even try to come help. They're just like, no, we're going to sit here and follow the rules. What the fuck? So like, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, you guys are not even trying to be professionals when you write a story like that. I'm not blaming the wrestlers, right? The wrestlers doing what they're told. I'm talking about the people who lay out the match. Like, have some pride, have some dignity, do better. But and then at that point, the Righteous came out and they carried Matt to the back. Eventually Jeff and Santino Marella entered and they cleaned house. And then Santino was probably the most over guy in the fucking match, to be honest with you, which I know is disappointing for a lot of people, but people like the guy. If he can get rid of some of the goofy stuff, like he could actually be a good fiery babyface, but he has to like mispronounce all the names. Like, I think he could leave that behind. It's 2025, dude. Like, that was 20 years ago when that was over. You could probably just say the names correct now. He has to do the Cobra, like he has to, like Mick Foley has to do the sock. He has to do the Cobra. But the rest of the stuff, I think you can just leave behind because he actually has some fire and he can cut promos and like he's a good baby face. He's not a great, like, he's never going to be your 5-star guy, but that's not what TNA does. They don't do that. So, but he could have some entertaining matches and segments. But yeah, he ends up hitting the Cobra on Brooks Jensen. Oh, at one point they did a Tower of Doom spot where Steve Mackin came off the top of the cage and it was like a double powerbomb thing. So yeah, so they did that. But Santino hit the Cobra on Brooks Jensen, and then Santana got to spin the block with the pin. So they won the match despite being down a man. There was a 4-on-5 like handicap match essentially. And after the match is over, all the baby faces leave the ring. They leave Santino. Sorry, it's hard to have Santana and Santino on the same team. I get confused. But Santino's in the ring with his son-in-law Stax, and he's trying to get him to come up, and maybe they're gonna fight again. His daughter Arianna Grace comes in the ring and kicks him in his dick, and turns heel, and actually like had some fire. I thought it was a well done heel turn. I did. I thought that she played her part good. I thought the crowd was up for it. Stax is like a little shithead. I thought he did good. And then I thought Santino selling it was great. Here's the only problem I had with the whole segment. Mike Santana is at the door. It's locked. He sees this going down. Stax is beating the shit out of Santino. And Santana is just shaking the door trying to make it get open. And it just reminded me of like that video where the guy is going down the escalator, right? He's in a suit and he's going down the escalator. and all of a sudden the escalator stops, and then he's just standing there and he doesn't know what to do. it's like, bro, those are stairs now, right? Like that's what it reminded me. Like Santana forgot that he could climb, but thankfully, you got the Marine out there. It took the Marine to go ahead, like, hey, Mike, we can climb now. But like you would expect the Marine to like climb over a cage to get to somebody, right? Like that's what he does. I'm sure he's climbed over some shit in boot camp, climbed over nets and walls and, done the low crawls and all that shit. So he's like used to it. So he climbs over and he gets in there and then, Stacks takes off running and Arianna Grace, like gets him Macklin's face and unlocks the door and leaves. And then she gets in Santana's face and says, it's like, you got a daughter. You better not be a dad like him, but I bet you are a deadbeat dad just like he is. And like gets in his face and walks away. I was like, you know what? Like maybe she's got something as a heel because I was not digging her character, the bubbly, ditzy moron that she was playing. I like this character where she got a little bit of mezzo soprano in her. I know maybe that's me, saying just because she's Italian, but I thought she had a little bit of attitude, a little bit of fire. I was kind of impressed by Arianna Grace. Now I don't know. Here's my thought. I am worried that Santino is going to win the North American champ or the international championship. I do worry about that, but hopefully they flip the belt back to Macklin because I think Macklin has legs as champion. They just haven't really fully tapped into what he can do yet. But overall, I thought that this show was because I enjoyed the main event so much. I'm not a Battle Royal fan, but I liked the outcome of the Battle Royal because I like Bear Bronson. I like them giving a new guy a chance. So I like how they did that. And I like the promo from Bear Bronson. I thought the women's match was pretty decent. And then I enjoyed the main event, but I like War Games matches. Like I know, it's December and we had 2 in WWE, 2 in AEW, and now we had 1 in TNA. I'm still not sick of them. I don't know where I would rank this one, but I thought it was good. And I liked the heel turn at the end. I thought they did a good job. All right. Joel, as I was about to say, Joel, or don't you have your own show? Like, shouldn't you be on your show right now? But so Joel, I start mine at 10:15. So I think you probably go a little bit earlier than me, but I've been on the air for 51 minutes. So, but I also try to do all the news ahead of time. Like I kick off with the news and banter and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm about to close up shop. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Rolly Boy said, love this trend, heel turns and steel cage matches. Yeah, Nick Nemeth had a really good still heel turn earlier this year. I enjoyed the heel turn that the Nemeth did on the Hardy Boys, and I'm still disappointed that they never really, I don't think they ever really paid off that feud. I thought that was a good feud, and they just kind of, like, there was more legs to it. Let's see. Yeah, they caught up TNA Arianna Grace, the NXT Arianna Grace. She's been a heel for months with Stacks. Could have fooled me. I don't watch NXT, so I didn't know that. Let's see. And then Raleigh Boy. Oh, this is Io. It said, Io, can you just be Io on here? Like, why are you Rolly Boy? Just be Io. All right. Don't confuse me. But it says she pulled a Stephanie from Armageddon 99. Yeah. Joel starts his at 10:05. That's what he's the legend. And Io says, I think marketing purposes, they can't call it Lethal Lockdown. Why not? They own the name. They should be able to call it that. Oh, you think reasons? Maybe because of COVID? I don't know. I don't see any reason why they couldn't call it Lethal Lockdown. I think they could. I think it's fine. I think they're good to go. They probably didn't call it that because they want to get a top to that cage and they want to use it later. But Lethal Lockdown, I feel like tonight would have been a fine night to call it Lethal Lockdown. I don't know. I think it would have been a bigger show had they done that because that name has value. It has cachet. But all right, guys. Yeah, it is 8 minutes past the hour. I got to get to bed, but I have to finish this football game as well. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. JD and I will be back on Sunday night. Next week is Christmas, so I'll be off. I'm not going to do a show on Christmas. TNA is doing one match. They got a 10-person tag, which they just did that tonight. Maybe come up with a different idea. but they're doing a 10-person tag, and they're doing their award show next week. So, but then after that, it looks like they got shows in the can until AMC. So, all right, guys, that's gonna do it for me this time, and until next time, mahalo.